everyone to DimitrovBoelee Piano Duo. My name is Dimitri Dimitrov.
And my name is DimitrovBoelee.
And we're very happy today to present you with our new video. As you already guessed, we're going to talk today about the Italian song by Tchaikovsky. It's from the album for the Young, Opus 39. It's a piece that so many of our students want to play and so many people in general want to play. Even us as professional musicians, we enjoy when we work on this piece. And today we're going to share with you one fundamental idea which can make your playing really better. There are so many things we can talk about this piece, but we selected something very interesting and fundamental. Like I said, it's going to be about your left hand, because the accompaniment of this piece is really important in the way that the piece sounds when you play it. As you can hear, and as you can see of course from the score, we have this kind of accompaniment, constant throughout the whole piece. Actually, when I'm looking at the score, there is no place where you don't have this accompaniment. So you can imagine why this idea is so important, because it is present in the whole piece. The accompaniment is this. And with the right hand, of course, it sounds like this. Etc. So we have it throughout the whole piece. And if you don't have enough experience and knowledge, you wouldn't know exactly how to make this accompaniment really beautiful, because that's very, very important. It's very easy to play this accompaniment just like this. But if I play this way with the right hand, you will hear how it sounds. And if I do what we're going to tell you today to do, the accompaniment and how the piece sounds will be like this. So that makes a big difference when you hear the piece. The idea is actually very simple. In every bar we have 3 beats, 3 different 8 notes of the left hand. All we have to do is not play all these 3 notes at the same volume. That's what the idea is. And what we have to do mainly is get softer with each note. So every bar has 3 beats, and each beat, each following beat has to be softer than the previous, like this. The first is the strongest, the second softer, and the last softest. The same in the next bar. Softer, softest, strong, softer, softest, etc. This sounds really simple, but of course, like I said, if you don't have experience, if you're a beginner, even intermediate, sometimes even with advanced people, you can hear that this is not present, that this idea is not present. So we are going to show you how you can achieve this idea. Before we start to explain to you how to achieve this proper balance in the left hand, let me tell you a few reasons why this is so important to be done. So the first and one of the most important ideas why we have to achieve this kind of proper balance in the left hand, this kind of playing, is because the left hand will sound more musical. Otherwise, we risk playing the left hand all the same, and that becomes quite monotonous and quite boring to listen to, because we have it throughout the whole piece. The same goes for the right hand, by the way, and for every other piece you're playing. If I play the right hand all with the same volume, it's the same thing. You can see that the music doesn't move, it kind of stays the same. So if I play everything the same, like I showed earlier, you can see that everything is quite dull. So one of the first reasons we have to do this is because everything becomes much more beautiful to listen to.
Not only is it more dull, it also sounds more square. And in this particular piece, and very often when you have these 3 beats, you need a kind of dancing feeling. And a dancing feeling is always the first beat is stronger when you have 3 beats. It's like a waltz feeling. The first beat is the strongest, and afterwards they become less important.
So that was the first reason. The second reason why we have to achieve a proper balanced left hand is because left hand is more powerful than the right hand. First of all, because of the register. As you can imagine, the lower you go on the keyboard, the more powerful the piano becomes. Right here sounds one way if I play here. Right? I'm pressing the same, but you can hear that this produces here, this region of the piano produces much more volume. So the left hand compared to the right hand is louder. not only because of the register, but also because you have many more notes. So this is very easy. It is so easy to overshadow your right hand with your left hand. That's the second reason.
The left hand is written very actively, and this is to provide enough energy for this song. But if you play it too loud, it will overpower the right hand.
Exactly, and like with more energy and more power comes more responsibility. So you have to be really responsible for your left hand. It is so easy to overdo it. And the third, and one of the most important reasons, is technical reason. If you're going to play your left hand all the same, if you're going to play all the notes all the same, that's not good for your technique. Here on our channel, we want you to learn important things not only you can apply with this piece, but every other piece you're going to play after that. So we really believe in long-term knowledge that you can apply long-term. So that's very, very important. And like I said, if you're going to play the left hand all the same, later on you have pieces that are extremely fast. And if you're going to play all the notes all the same, your hands are going to get very tired. It's going to sound not musical. They're going to get tired. You're going to get stiff, and you might get even injuries. So there are many different reasons why this idea is very important to be practiced on.
A big part of great technique is knowing and being able to relax.
Absolutely. It's a combination of technical and musical skills. So you have to always combine both. Now, as you're probably curious enough about this idea, it is time that we actually give you some very useful tips on how to achieve this proper result. The first step is really simple, but from our experience with all of our students, almost nobody has the patience to do that. The people who have the patience to do that achieve wonderful results. It is basically practicing really slowly. Everyone wants to start reading the piece and they want to already play the piece. That's not how it works. There are no shortcuts in music or in any other area in life. So we would advise you to be really persistent and patient.
Even after more than 20 years of playing piano, all new ideas, especially musical ideas, but all new ideas, I still practice extremely slow.
Yes, what we want you to understand and what we are trying all our students to understand is that it doesn't matter that you're a beginner, intermediate or advanced. That doesn't matter. It matters how you practice. And how you practice is always the same. You always combine slow practice with fast practice. Now, since this is the first step of conquering a new idea, you can imagine that you can only start extremely slow. So the idea is this. We're going to emphasize our bass note. Why? Because the bass note, like I said, is the first beat of each bar. Therefore, the bass note has to be the loudest. So we're going to emphasize that. We're going to exaggerate a little bit, and we are going to do it really slow because we want the second and the third beats to be softer, like this. The strongest, softer, softest. Strongest, softer, softest. What you can see, what I'm doing right now is I'm being extremely, not 100, but 1000% conscious of what I'm doing. That's the purpose. You want to teach your hands, you want to teach yourself how to control the pressure you apply on the keyboard. That's the exercise. And believe me, you are not going to benefit only in this piece. You're really going to notice with all the other pieces you're playing that you have conscious control of how you're pressing the keyboard. Yes, we're not playing yet together hands, but that's not important. It's important that we're teaching ourselves how to control the volume while we're playing.
If you're finding it difficult, it might help to have a specific dynamic in mind for every single note you're playing. For example, you can start with, I want to play the first note forte, then mezzo forte, then piano. And this might help create a little bit of a more clear idea of the dynamics you want to produce.
Exactly, because this is kind of envisioning what kind of dynamic you want to do. So perhaps it is very useful to use this because for me, for example, right, I can just hear. But like Elvira says, for example, if you're a beginner, it is so much easier to just imagine forte. Oh, I have to play loud. Mezzo forte. Oh, I have to play in the middle. And piano, I have to play soft. So that's very, very useful. I showed you only a few bars, but please do the whole piece like this, because often what we are experiencing, we show our students something and they do it for 1 or 2 systems. After that they become impatient and the rest of the piece goes downhill. So we don't want that. You want to make sure that you're practicing the whole piece from bar 1 until the last bar in this way. Even if you do it once a day, you are going to benefit. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't try to do it many hours a day or many times a day, because of course this can get tiring, because it requires a lot of concentration and patience. But just do it once a day and you will see great results. It's time for our second exercise. This is an exercise that I really love doing. It's going to be like this. You're going to play right and left hand together, but in the left hand you're going to skip the second and third beat. We're going to play only the first beat, like this. Etc. This is a great exercise, but there are a few things you have to watch out for. The first and the most important thing is proper fingering. Once you start playing only the bass note, there is a danger that you're going to start changing your fingering, right? What I mean by this is this. We have in the score, we'll upload exactly this score that we're using right now, so you can see also what's written. So we're going to play from the same score. You're going to watch and download our score. It's written 4th finger. Logically, after that I'm going to use 5, then 4, then 5. So if I remove the notes, I might be tempted to start playing, for example, with 5th finger every time. Also on the C sharp in bar 3, also with 5th. That would be wrong. Why? Because it wouldn't fit later on when we put everything together. The whole purpose of this exercise is to teach us and prepare us for what's coming later. And what's coming is putting everything together, all the notes together. So we want you to apply the proper fingering. That's very important. There is another good reason to do this exercise, and that's teaching your ears what's important. When I'm doing this exercise, I start remembering what's important to me. My ears start understanding that this is the foundation of the piece. These are the strong columns on which the piece is built. So what happens is, this is like magic. Some things you can explain very easily theoretically, and some things you need to experience and see why they work. So I advise you to try this and you will see the difference. It's very difficult to explain because it sounds like a fairy tale, like magic, but actually it works. When I do this, my ears don't accept, when I put everything together after this exercise, my ears don't accept to hear this. Because they heard all the time only the bass, and after that it's quiet. So my ears automatically, if I play everything together, want everything on the second and third beats of each bar, everything to be softer. So that's the magic here. The third reason is kind of the same, but a little bit different, right? So the third reason why we do this exercise is just getting used to what's important. Physically also. Not only our ears are of course being taught to hear what's important, but also physically you get used to what's important. So you apply pressure on the keys that are important, and you actually don't use the keys that are not important. So you get used to that physically. When you do, left hand is feeling very kind of relaxed when it doesn't have to play, of course. And like I said, when you get physically also used to that, when you put everything together, you automatically want to approach the second and third beats softer. So those are the reasons why we want you to do this exercise. And now, one last and also really, really golden advice. What you're going to do is this. We're going to play again right and left hand together, but we're going to skip the bass note of the left hand. So we're going to do this. Why are we going to do this? Well, because it is really so much easier to play the second and third beats softer if you don't have to jump and catch the bass notes. Basically, what you have to do is you are staying on the same position and you just gently tap the second and third beat while you're playing. You can do this even left hand alone if you want. Of course, if you're really a beginner, that's still possible, but then you can do only the left hand alone and just tap very gently the second and third beat. And if you already played some pieces and you can play this piece, it will be really easy for you to do left and right hand together. Of course, again, we advise you to do this very slowly, because then you'll be much more conscious and you'll produce much better results. So when you put the right and left hand together, you see on this camera that my left hand is hardly touching the keyboard. I'm just teaching my hand again to relax and tap very gently the second and third beats. These exercises in combination with each other will give you wonderful results.
Perhaps I'll add one last exercise. If you have trouble going from slow to faster tempo, so it's going really well in slow, but you can't seem to actually have the same control in a faster tempo, I will suggest to you that you practice with a little bit of a stop. So what Dimitar just mentioned is actually it is difficult to get control over this second and third beat because of the jump. So I would suggest that you would practice with a break between the first and the second beat. So I'll show you now. That means that you'll play this and then take as much time as it's needed to switch from the feeling of pressure. So you think about it, and when you think you have control, then you continue. And really try to take as much time as you need until you consciously have control over the pressure.
Yes, because what's really important is that you can exaggerate as much as you want here. I mean, for all I care, you can do and then everything very soft. Because what's important here is that you produce the contrast between the bass note and the other notes. So feel free to exaggerate. The first step, usually when you're learning new things, one of the most important things when you're learning something new is to feel free and to feel brave to exaggerate. There is nothing wrong in exaggeration when you're learning something new. All of us. For example, when we're learning new pieces, everything is exaggerated. Everything is much more louder, much more expressive, even more than necessary, but that's something very natural. So remember this from us, just exaggerate. Whatever it is you're doing in the very beginning can be exaggerated in order for you to learn it. So yeah, this would be our video for today, and I think it's definitely enough information for now. We will be very happy to hear back from you. That's really important to us, that we hear back from you, because then we can help you further.
If you have any problems that you can't solve, feel free to send us a video mentioning the piece, and also, of course, you're playing, mentioning what can't you conquer, and we'll help you analyze and find some solutions.
Yes, and if you want to leave comments, suggestions about this piece or any other piece with questions, even if you don't send a video, right? Video would be great. We actually can create then content with videos of you and us commenting on those videos. But if you're shy to do that, just send us questions, comment below on our video, send us questions, send us requests for other pieces, and we're going to produce more and more content that's relevant to you. That's extremely important to us. If you also like our videos, we would be very appreciative if you like them, of course, if you click on the like button, and also if you subscribe to our channel. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, so you can follow us as well there. We will see you next week with another video.